Humanitarian organizations have denounced the deteriorating conditions faced by Palestinian prisoners in Israeli custody, with the situation being described as appalling and unacceptable. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, El Salvador has extended a helping hand to Jamaica by providing medical and rescue teams along with essential supplies to support those affected. And the Cuban government denounces the United States' plans to destabilize the country's economy. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas, rejects the false U.S. accusations about alleged looting of humanitarian aid trucks in the Gaza Strip. Hamas describes Washington's statements as a pretext to reduce aid and cover the international failure to end the decision-imposed famine in Palestinian territories. The movement highlights the sacrifice of over 1,000 dead and hundreds wounded among Gaza's police and security forces, who under extreme conditions, protected aid convoys to ensure delivery to civilians. The resistance insists that no local or international institutions reported similar incidents. And also, humanitarian organizations have denounced the deteriorating conditions faced by Palestinian prisoners in Israeli custody. According to the Commission on Detainees and Ex-Detainees, the health of prisoners is deplorable and they are subjected to repeated beatings and repression. They point out that the prison administration frequently transfers them without prior notice, creating tensions within the wards. In this regard, humanitarian organizations demand an end to the abuses against Palestinians and that their social and legal rights be enforced in accordance with international law. And Palestinian authorities report that Israel is limiting humanitarian aid into Gaza, allowing access for only 145 trucks daily. The Gazan government media office reported that since the ceasefire began, 3,238 vehicles entered Gaza, including 639 carrying aid. Also, in this regard, humanitarian organizations demand an end to the abuses against Palestinians and that their social and legal rights be enforced in accordance with international law. And meanwhile, in South Korea, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit APEC ended Saturday in Gyeongju with a call to expand trade and cooperation in the face of challenges from artificial intelligence and demography. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, host of the meeting, emphasized that to maintain the prosperity of the region, they need to expand trade and cooperate with each other. At the closing ceremony, 3 documents were adopted, including the Gyeongju Declaration, which affirms the commitment of the 21 members of the forum to open markets and sustainable investment. The second day of the forum was dominated by the debate on the disruptive effects of artificial intelligence on employment and education, as well as the role of culture and creativity as alternative economic drivers. And also, Bolivians celebrate All Saints' Day, a holiday that blends Christian traditions with Indian beliefs. Bolivians honor their deceased loved ones who they believe returned to the world of the living on November 1st to share a feast in their honor. Family members set up a special table with food, drinks, and homemade bread in memory of the deceased. And on November 2nd, they say goodbye to the spirits with songs and prayers. Also, the Departmental Police Command will deploy 2,000 of officers to the cemeteries of La Paz and El Alto with the aim of preventing accidents and protecting visitors during the festivities. And Bolivians in Palestine, with an eye to the future, on October 31st, 2025, the Gaza Strip concluded the first edition of the International Women's Film Festival, an act of cultural resistance that was born amidst the ruins and established itself as a symbol of life and hope. The closing ceremony took place in Der Al-Bala, the heart of the enclave, and marked the end of an intense week of screening, dialogues and tributes to Palestinian creativity. The evening began with the Palestinian national anthem, followed by speeches by the founder and president of the festival, Esaldin Shal, the Secretary General of the Journalists Union, Aher Farawana, and the President of the General Union of Cultural Centers, Yusri Darwish. And for his part, Egypt inaugurated the Great Egyptian Museum at the foot of the pyramids of Giza this Saturday with a historic event that marks the launch of the institution, which began construction almost 2 decades ago and has been partially open since 2023. Egyptian President Al-Sisi stated that they are writing a new chapter in the history of the present and future of this ancient country. The opening ceremony began at 7 p.m. local time with the arrival of the guests of honor at the special venue set up outside the museum, among whom were 39 heads of state, kings and princes from around the world, as well as representatives from 40 countries. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back. In China, a thick fog covered much of the north and east of the country, causing traffic disruptions and the temporary closure of several highways in at least 3 provinces. The thick fog occurred Friday midnight through Saturday morning, forcing authorities to implement safety measures such as traffic regulations, signage, and vehicle guidance at major intersections. Toll stations were supplied with emergency equipment, water, food, and first aid kits to provide assistance to drivers. With sunrise, visibility gradually improved and the alert was lifted by midnight. And also, humanitarian aid continues to pour into Jamaica to counter devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. Social and international organizations began distributing food and water on Saturday to hurricane victims that had not yet received any humanitarian aid. Jamaican authorities have stressed the importance of getting aid to communities affected by the storm, which caused power lines and trees to fall. Also, the Jamaican government has expressed its condolences to the families of the 28 victims killed by Hurricane Melissa. Meanwhile, in Kenya, the death toll has risen to 22 following a landslide in the west of the country. According to social organizations, the areas most affected by torrential rains and flooding remain inaccessible by road. Rescue efforts continue amid heavy rainfall. Disaster management agencies are searching through the rubble of collapsed houses for the 30 people still reported missing. And Brazil is reporting decreased deforestation after a decade fighting climate change. Climate authorities said the news not only represents a victory for the environment, but it also highlights the effectiveness of renewed public policies and the role of society in those initiatives. They also that legal deforestation in the Amazon has decreased by 22.3% compared to 2024. However, for now, climate threats persist, which require constant vigilance and a long-term commitment from all sectors of society. In other informations, in Mexico, at least 23 people have died and another 11 were injured in an explosion at a store in Sonora. Sonora Governor Alfonso Durazo said the blast occurred in the center of the city of Hermosillo and that, unfortunately, several of the victims were minors. He also said that a comprehensive and transparent investigation is underway to determine the causes of the accident and find those responsible. Police have ruled out the possibility of the incident being an attack or an act of violence against civilians. And now we go to the United States. The government confirmed that the delegation that will travel to Brazil for the climate summit beginning on November 10th will be made up of second or third year figures, a little over a week before the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP30, to be held in early November in Brazil. The United States has announced that no high-ranking officials will travel to participate in the international forum. Washington's position is in line with the policies of U.S. President Donald Trump's second term, who is more interested in promoting the use of fossil fuels and is a strong detractor of the climate agenda. And in other informations, in Argentina, the 34th LGBTQ+ Pride March was held this Saturday, the first major demonstration since the last legislative elections. The key slogans of the day were "Stop lying and stigmatizing trans children and teenagers and those who support them," access to hormones and inhibitors, respect for their voices, their rights, and the right to grow up with love, and violence from the state generates violence in society, enough violence, enough hate crimes. In addition, demands an anti-discrimination law and calls for an end to the criminalization of protest. This march took place 9 months after the last time the LGBTQ+ movement took to the streets to protest against the stigmatizing and hateful rhetoric of President Javier Milei. And in other news, in Africa, from September 14th to October 29th, at least 17 countries have experienced a rampant spread of mpox. The World Health Organization has recorded at least 17 deaths and over 2,860 confirmed cases of virus. The World Health Organization urges health officials to keep cases under surveillance, to improve access to vaccines, and to strengthen infection control measures to prevent the disease from taking root. During this period, the virus has also been reported for the first time in Namibia and outside Africa in Malaysia, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain. And also in Africa, the government of Nigeria rejected U.S. President Donald Trump's accusations of alleged religious persecution, describing them as inaccurate and politicized. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs strongly rejected Trump's accusations while accusing the U.S. of attempting to interfere in the country's internal affairs. Abuja's firm response comes after war threats from the White House, as well as Trump's public call for U.S. lawmakers to investigate what he called mass murders of Christians in Nigeria by radical Islamists. The measure announced by the U.S. President reflects his intention to reinstate Nigeria on a U.S. list of countries of particular concern, a designation that has historically been used as a pretext to justify unilateral sanctions against sovereign nations. And in a new episode of Hemispheric Interference, U.S. President Donald Trump ordered the Pentagon to prepare for a possible military attack against Nigeria. On his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump announced he had instructed the Pentagon on a possible military intervention under the pretext of completely eliminating alleged Islamic terrorists. In his message, Trump warned that if the Nigerian government does not act quickly, the U.S. military could enter the territory with all its artillery, describing a hypothetical operation as rapid, vicious, and forceful. As an additional measure of pressure and interference, Trump threatened to immediately suspend all aid and assistance to Nigeria if the supposed attacks against Christians in the country are not stopped. And we have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Let's go to Cuba. The government just condemned the United States' plans to destabilize the Caribbean island's economy. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez stated on his social media, the U.S. government organizes, finances, and directly executes a comprehensive destabilization program as part of its economic war against Cuba, using operators of Cuban origin based in the United States and other countries. Their mission is to lower the income level of the people through the speculative manipulation of the exchange rate, which directly affects price increases, the spread of intimidating and alarmist messages on social media, and the alteration of the natural behavior of the market. The effect is severe damage to the income of every Cuban and additional obstacles to macroeconomic stabilization programs. And the government shutdown in the United States entered its second month on Saturday, November 1st as well, it becoming the second largest in the country's history and is now in a socially critical phase. The shutdown has plunged 42 million residents in the country who depend on food aid into total distress as the program has run out of funding. The political crisis between Democrats and Republicans in Congress is having devastating impact as the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Programs has announced that it is running out of funds, so its activities will have to be interrupted shortly. After the news broke out, also, there have been collapses as well at the food and pantries and drive-through distribution points. We go now to Venezuela. Popular assemblies are underway to select community projects in preparation for a fourth popular consultation on November 23rd. This Saturday and Sunday, communities throughout the country will submit projects to be later put to vote at a popular consultation. The winning projects will be part of works to be carried out by each organized community to improve their quality of life. These popular consultations reaffirm the participatory and protagonistic nature of democracy in Venezuela. While the assemblies are taking place, work continues on construction projects approved in previous consultations. And several Venezuelan states are also hosting assemblies for people to present projects for the upcoming popular consultation. In several municipalities, parishes, and towns across Venezuela, citizens are proposing solutions their communities need to improve on whatever aspect of their lives. The states of Miranda, La Guaira, Aragua, among others, are hosting such assemblies so that their residents can put forward proposals to improve the social well-being and territorial integrity in Venezuela. And Venezuelan youth are also participating in popular assemblies to propose community projects that will be voted on in the November 23rd popular consultation. These assemblies are part of a participatory democratic process to diagnose and prioritize the needs of their communities, seeking to strengthen the role of young people in decision-making. This sector presented studies of their communities proposing projects focused on sports, recreation, health, and communication.
inform our neighbors that on November 23rd we will have a consultation that will not be on closed topic. It will be a consultation for young people. It will not be a consultation on a specific issue. Rather, it will be an open consultation so that people can openly propose what projects we need for the community. For the community and for our young people, it is a source of pride. The projects are not for oneself but for the young people, leaving an ever greater mark with our President Nicolas Maduro since this task was given to us by our Commander Chavez.
Now we go to Honduras. Following a meeting held between the General Coordination in the Central District and the Liberty and Refoundation Party, the order was given to call on all party members to mobilize to the capital starting on November 9th. Presidential candidate Trixie Moncada assured that the protest since November 9th will be permanent and that the national militancy will make a one-way trip to their hometowns. This comes after the leaking of audio recordings that reveal a boycott, attack and destruction of popular sovereignty by imposing the results of the November 30th elections. Moncada added that they received an expert opinion from judicial investigators and criminalistic expert Jason Villamil, who assured them that the leaked audio recordings are authentic. And now we go to Mexico. The president of the country, Claudia Sheinbaum, and Brazil intend to promote a new trade agreement to cement a more robust axis of cooperation on the continent. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced she had an opportunity and an important telephone conversation with her Brazilian counterpart, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva. The dialogue focused on exploring new opportunities for collaboration and the firm commitment to maintain and intensify cooperation between the two largest economies in Latin America. The presidents spoke about economic complementarity and opportunities for collaboration, and President Sheinbaum expressed interest in Brazilian cooperation in strategic areas and highlighted as well the need to increase ethanol production to meet Mexico's growing demand in areas of Brazil's expertise. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And we also invite you to join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.